Computer. All right.
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Coach
hello.
Krys and Coach Lexie here. We thought we would veer off a little bit today and talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and why we don't work for people. Um, Maybe we could talk about when we did work for people and how well that went.
I was literally before I logged on for this and I was like reflecting, I'm like, she gave me so many options and I chose the one that is so conflict ridden for myself. I'm like, this is not, whoo, okay.
Yeah, some days I'm like, what did I do?
Yeah.
What did I do?
hmm
So I guess my first question, and I can go first if you want, but like, how did we get to this point? And for me personally, I worked for a lot of bad bosses to get to this point.
Yeah.
And it was basically like I learned a million things I don't want to do. I also am like really bad at being told what to do. Um, I was just like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So, entrepreneurship was kind of like in my mind the only route that I figured I would be happy or like not wanting to rip all my hair out every single day.
Right.
So, I've always kind of been into entrepreneurship. When I was in high school, we had a senior project. And from that senior project, I created an entire business where we, it was just me. I say we a lot for it just being me.
Same, I do the same thing. I'm like,
We,
here at Mission
me,
Mama,
myself,
we, and I'm like, it's me.
me, myself, and all my
Myself and I.
personalities. Um, I designed t-shirts and raised money for cancer. So I started with that business. We did events. We went to other people's events. And yeah, I've always kind of had that kind of bug. So I don't know. And here we are now, questioning all my life decisions.
All of our big life decisions. Yeah, honestly, I did not envision myself being an entrepreneur. I was literally going to retire as a collegiate strength and conditioning coach at some point when I was like 65, whatever, million years old, still
Uh-huh.
freaking traveling. And I had visions of my kids on the road with me and just like all these things, travel and being the person on the sideline and raising my kids and like that athletics realm. So yeah, when that turn and change happened, I was like, well, didn't see this coming, but here we go.
Strap in.
Yeah, here we
It's
go.
gonna be a bumpy
Buckle up,
ride.
baby.
That's crazy. What was it that like you were like, I'm just gonna go all in on this?
Oh God, this is such a long answer. Okay, so so I worked in college athletics. And at my last position, obviously that was where I was when I had Aria. And I'm gonna keep names out of it. Just if you know me, you know where I'm talking about, but I'm not gonna throw it in there. But yeah, so while I was there, I had Aria, and I went on maternity leave, came back, and just as that year was going on, and I can't even say that year, it was like September when this happened, and this was like the first big, significant thing for me that I was like, whoa, like what the hell? What do I do with this? Um, but I remember reaching out to one of my coaches because we got a preseason schedule, and I said, hey, I noticed that we have, I think it was like 8 or 9 p.m. practices on 4
Oof,
days. So 4 days
oof.
out of the whole preseason. And I was like, those are happen to be on days that I'm already in for 5 a.m. and I don't go home. So I don't see my daughter and I'm still nursing. And I
Hmm.
really like to be able to at least see her once in a 24-hour span.
Right.
So is it okay if I have the athletic trainer run the warm-ups because that's basically
Hmm.
all I did at practice was warm the team up and then start their performance tracking software.
Oh, okay.
And rather than respond to that email, the coach texted me and said, like, I got your email. Can we talk? I'll come to you. And I was like, okay. And they came down and what it came down to was like, if you can't commit to our team in the way that we're looking for you to commit to our team, we're gonna have to like bring this to some higher level of authority, and see if you're still a good fit to work with our team.
Wow.
And like, I remember calling Dave, my husband, and being like, just like crying because I was like, what do I do? Like,
Yeah.
one, I need a job. Like,
Right.
especially now, like we're paying for
Yeah, yeah,
daycare.
yeah.
I just had a kid. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
I was like, but also like this is my career and I love it, but like now I'm also a mom and I want to be a good mom, like, and that
Right.
looks a certain way for me. And then basically having it be told to me, like, it can't look that way because we need you to be different.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is not all right. And so it like when my shift in priority changed, they were not willing to shift and accommodate with me.
Hmm.
And those things kept coming up.
Yeah.
Like stuff during COVID when we were all virtual and like daycares are closed. Like I had my daughter
Right.
with me and I remember
Right.
being on calls and people would literally turn my camera off on me because my daughter was with me. And like it wasn't like a hey, can you turn your camera? It was just like they just turn it off. But then I remember one time, like another coach playing tug of war with her dog during
Oh, but that's okay.
a meeting. And I was just like, this is so messed up. Like,
Yeah.
don't like, so I can only be a coach, not a mom.
Right.
It's just like nothing had ever resonated with me more than those things that you see. It's like people expect you to work like you don't have kids and raise kids like you don't work. And it's like,
Right.
yes.
Or be a mom, but you can't be a coach. So that's your
Yeah.
option.
Yeah.
Pick one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, so it was like multiple of those instances, and I started losing steam. And then like
Yeah.
my coworkers started bringing it to my supervisor, like Lexi's not, Lexi's acting different. She's not as motivated. I'm like, yeah, no shit, I'm not as motivated.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but nobody understood like what I was going through. No one else, the only other person on my staff who had kids was my supervisor. Um, and I'm sorry, but I do believe that like dad's role is different than mom's role.
Yeah.
When you're the male supervisor, I think that's a different situation. I think you view
Yeah.
it differently. You don't really understand like what this person's going through, what
A
mom's
hundred
going
percent.
through. And so like there was no one to relate to within any
Mm-hmm.
of our staffs. And finally I just got fed up. And when I left, I had no other job prospects. Like it was literally within a 48-hour span that I was like, I remember on the day that I sent in my letter of resignation, I just picked up my phone and called Dave and I was like, hey, sorry, I know you're at work. I need you for a sec. He was like,
I
yeah,
just
what's up? I was like, I'm waiting to hop on this Zoom call with my supervisor, but I also just wrote my letter of resignation. He was like, what? And I was
you
like,
know it's
I'm just
that
not,
bad when
I
you
was like,
just
I just feel like I need to take the power back. Like
yeah.
I'm sick of being treated like everything I'm doing is bad or wrong when I'm just trying to like be a good coach and be a good mom. And if that's
Mm-hmm.
not good enough for people, then I don't have a place here.
Yeah.
So I left, and I applied for positions from there and found something like just working as a personal trainer at a big box gym intermittently. And I remember saying to Dave, I was like, I just want to raise my babies right now and like not have to worry about it. I was not pregnant with Nate at the time. We were trying to get pregnant and we're going on like month 3 of no luck, which I recognize is not like a super long time in the grand scheme of thing. But for me, like I knew that stress was playing a role. So for me, I was,
Yeah.
how much longer am I going to put my body through this, my mind through this each month, negative pregnancy test when I want that? So that was like another consideration. And I just said, I was like, I need something low stress, low key. I want to help people who want help.
Yeah.
And that's it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I never experienced because that piece because I had my daughter after. And I even remember when I first moved, when I left Virginia and moved in with my mom in Mass, like trying to find a job. And it was, they needed you to be available first thing in the morning, in the afternoon. And it's like, that's a typical training schedule, right? You got morning, the middle of the day is like meh, and then the evenings, but like they only want to pay 20 bucks an hour. And I was
Yeah.
like, I have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to the gym, and then you're going to pay me $20 an hour. And I understand, like, when you're starting out and you don't know anything and yada yada, like I understand the whole like gaining experience and stuff like that, but I was not in a position where I could take that. It was like in order for me to take a position, I it has to be worth sending my kid to daycare
Yeah,
because like that's kind of the trade-off here.
absolutely.
And it was just me. So it was like I don't know what else to do. And I tried that. I did have a job. I started at Brown, and I would drive an hour and 20 minutes to Brown to coach twice a week. Like I was scrimping. But it was like the only thing that like seemed worth it to me, to make that drive to put it on my resume that I worked at Brown. And I was like, I don't know, like I've always wanted my own space. Like, how do we do that? And my mom's like, well, we can convert the garage. And I was like, but there's no bathroom. Like, what is that? Like, what if someone needs to, and like, now that I did it, it's not a big deal. Like, there's literally a bathroom on the other side of the door. They have to go in our house, but like, honestly, and then I was like, well, people think it's weird that they're coming to someone's house. Like, I'm just
Yep.
like all in my head about it. And like, it ended up being great. But like, when you're in that situation, like, I was like, I literally left my whole life that I had to start a new life. And like I tried to do it the traditional route where like you work, you go to work, you do the thing, and I was like, I fucking hate this so much. Like it's like nothing I would do. You have really no control. It was just so hard for me, and it was like the same thing over and over again. I would work for someone. And like, for example, I love this example. One of my bosses told me that I needed to tell people they were gonna die if they didn't come train with us. And I was like, I'm not doing that.
What?
Yeah, that they were gonna get sick and die because they weren't working out and they had to come work with us. Otherwise, that was the alternative. And I was like, bro, I'm not telling people that. It's not happening. And so I've been in two big box gyms that had similar like ownership. And I was like, I could never do that again. So I never went back to big box. I did work at a smaller private gym, and I still to this day work with the owners, and I love them so much. They were so sweet. But it was a situation where like you rented space and you got to do your own thing. And that
Yeah.
was like my first taste of like what it would be like to kind of be like an entrepreneur. Like you
Yeah,
made the rules, you made the prices, you coached the way you coached, and you paid rent to use the equipment.
exactly.
And that's kind of where it all started. And it just kind of grew from there.
Yep. Same. So after I left Nathan, so I ended up getting pregnant about a month and a half, 2 months after I left the place of employment I was in college athletics. Left there. Within a week, I had interviews. Within 2 weeks, I had a job. And I
Mm-hmm.
remembered when the person interviewing like called me and they were like, yeah, like very respectfully, like, why the hell do you want to come
Yeah,
here?
your resume is impressive.
Yeah,
Like
and
you
they're
have some
like you have
big
all
stuff.
these credentials and you
Yeah.
want and I told them I was like I'm in a place like I just left something very high pressure where I was really unhappy. I was like, I also have been working with 18 to 22-year-olds for a
Lord.
decade, and I like don't have the energy for that. Like I can't relate. And like as much as like people laugh and they're like, oh, that's funny and everything, and it is funny, but like it also it's a disservice to me and a disservice to them because those athletes deserve somebody who are going to cut
Hmm.
them some slack and like be understanding and like
Right.
I hate to say it, but like coddle them a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Be a little
And
bit
it's
of
not
like
me.
a bro, a homie, a girlfriend. And like that just was never me. Like I
Yeah.
was so strict with boundaries. And I think a lot of times athletes that I worked with thought that I was a huge bitch because I had firm boundaries. Like
Hmm.
my mentors were like that. I was coached to be like that as a coach. And I just like, you don't cross lines, you don't
Yeah.
blur lines.
Yeah.
And so that's how I coached. And that's not how a lot of people coach in that realm specifically. So
Yeah.
like people would come in, especially after I had Aria, and they're like, oh, it's so early. And I'm like, were you a human pacifier for the last 8 hours and are now here coaching you? No?
Politely. Shut the
Okay.
fuck up.
Like, I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? But like, they don't want to hear that. It's not fair for them to have to hear that.
Right,
That's
right,
their problem. You know what I mean? And as
right,
much as I
right.
wanted to be like grumpy about it, it's like, I can't put that on them. But also the fact that I can't not put that on them, I'm like, this isn't who I can be working with anymore. Right.
Right,
So
right.
that was the piece. And then, so yeah, I said to them, I was like, I want to help people who want to be helped. Cause that's the other piece is like, college athletes, they're recruited in most situations. You know, they're coming there because somebody scoped them out and was like, you're super
Hmm.
talented. We want you on our team. Da da da.
Hmm.
Think you're either a big shot or like you're really, you know, motivated, this and that, but you're motivated to play your sport. You're not motivated to train and do the outside of the
Right.
athletics field
Hmm.
work. And that you can't be an elite athlete without that piece. And we know that
Hmm.
as
Correct.
coaches, but
Yeah.
getting everybody else on board is not super easy. And then
Yeah.
the other piece was like, again, COVID times, like we were being challenged by our supervisor to like branch out, like learn new things, take the downtime that we had to like really dive into education. Obviously, there were tons of like webinars and stuff like
Yeah.
out at the time. So like that was, and that was also when I was going through my pelvic health journey with pelvic floor dysfunction and the prolapse. And I was like really getting into pelvic floor health and seeing how much that plays a role in the athletics realm. And like, I was trying to bring more of this information and everybody just kept telling me like, stay in your lane. Like you're not sports med. Like we're not medical providers. We can't talk about vaginas and penises.
Oh
Like
God.
do this, all this stuff. And I was just like, so we can coach breathing and we can talk about the diaphragm, but we can't talk about the last diaphragm of the body,
Right.
which happens to be impacted by vaginal contractions and penile contractions. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
cool. So like I couldn't do that. And I was just like, this is bullshit. So to your point earlier of like, I don't do well when people are telling me what to do. I was just like,
That's the key to
I'm
entrepreneurship.
so annoyed by this. I was like, I can't do this. So yeah, I was like, I want to coach people that want to be coached that are coming to me because they're like, I see something that I want to change and I have goals and I want to do this and you're going to help me.
Yeah.
And so I did that until I had Nate. And then while I was on maternity leave, I was just like very back and forth. I was like, okay, do I want to go back where I can't dictate my hours or do I want to like try to do this? And I was training out of a local gym. I was doing freelance training. So I would bring in my own clients, same thing. I would pay like an overhead to use the equipment, use the space, reserve the time, so on and so forth. And yeah, like once again, I told Dave, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna go back to the other thing. And he was just like, okay.
Oh,
Like, all
okay.
right, poor guy is like having an out-of-body experience. He's like, all right, so what are we doing here? And I was like, I'm just gonna build this like women's only coaching and like see
Yeah.
what happens. And he's like, all right. um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was like the next step in the journey.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too, like, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've never quite fit in. Like, I've always been like that oddball that, like, I would say something and people would be like, what are you even saying? Like, I think when I first, it's still pretty popular. I think it's less popular now, but like the bodybuilding splits were like really in and really popular. And um like eating like bodybuilder, physiques like bodybuilders, like all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really into that. And it was just like so different from like basically what every gym was doing. And I was just like, I feel so out of place. I don't really know where I fit. And I was like, I guess I'm gonna make my own place. I don't
And
know what else to do.
your
Like,
own place, your own rules, your own pillars of
right.
focus, right? Yeah.
What you want to
Yeah.
focus on. And that's kind of like how that went. And yeah, so like I forgot what the other questions I was asking you, but like you decide to open your own space. Like how does that what does that look like? Like because I outfitted our home as a gym, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So to the just rest that for one sec, but I was just gonna relate to you on that last one. Like, yes, I had a similar experience with like not matching up to like my colleagues and everything. I always focused like more functional, you know, functional strength, functional
Mhm.
sport performance is how I refer to it versus like, people come into the weight room as like absolute strength, like we gotta get stronger,
Yeah.
we gotta get faster, we gotta generate power, this, that, the other thing. So I was always a bit more, I feel like, experimental and like
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
outside the box. Like, okay, so the textbook says this, but like, we talked about this last time, like that's in such a controlled setting, which
You're
sport
right.
is not,
Yeah,
athletics
yeah.
is not, performance is not,
Right.
right? It's like, what happens when you put that in this and that? And I propose these questions and people are just like, yeah, might as well just stick to the textbook. And I was like, no.
Yeah, I think too, like because I went to art school first, and so like I've always been like a little more detail oriented, and I'm like, this movement pattern isn't right. Like
Yeah.
there's something wrong here, and it's like no one wanted to do the small work; they just want to do the big
Big
work. And
one.
I was
Yeah.
like, okay, but her feet can't hold her up, like your feet.
100%. Yes. Yes. Yes, for sure. And I was sick of people telling me, no, no, you can't do that. No, we're not doing that. I started getting to like the women's health and like the cycle syncing and everything like that. And people were like, you can't talk about a period. And I was like, why? You can't talk about body composition. You can't talk about food. And I was just like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what are
Yeah.
we doing? We might
What's
as
the
well talk
point?
about men's sports.
Yeah.
Say F it to women's sports. Like,
Mm-hmm.
which no, I don't want that to actually happen. But truthfully, like we all say, like women aren't small men and we shouldn't train them as such, but it's what we fucking do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate. Um, so yeah, that was that one. In terms of how did so you're saying you converted your home garage
Yeah.
to a gym. How did I like do this?
Yeah.
Um, so right next door, right on the other side of this wall, I reached out to somebody who owned like a kid's play space, like indoor play space, and to make a professional connection, I was working out of that other
Oh yeah.
small gym, freelance, had left the big box gym, came to meet her, who's now a very good friend of mine, for a professional connection to like refer and drop off cards and flyer and so on and so forth. And she was like, do you own a gym? And I was like, no, I was hoping like within the next 6 months, maybe more like 12 months. And like in the back of my head, I was like, maybe more like never. Like I don't know. It just like didn't
Yeah.
seem like we could actually get there.
Yeah.
Um, and at the time, the place that I was freelancing out of had just signed like a partnership agreement with like a financial contributor. And they did not want freelance trainers in the gym.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I needed to find a new place. And when I was looking at prices at other gyms to freelance, I was like, Jesus, like I might as
Yeah, they're
well my
expensive.
own goddamn place. This
Yeah.
is so I wouldn't be making any money, right?
Yeah.
Plus that gym was literally like 30 seconds, no joke, from my house. So super convenient because Nate was only a couple months old.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like to be able to like shoot down there, do a client, and then shoot back home, put him down for a nap, like super easy.
Yeah.
I came to meet her. She said, "Do you have a gym?" No. And she was like, "Oh, the space next door is for rent." And I was like, "Interesting."
How do we pay said rent?
Like, would you look at that? So I like peeked in
Yeah.
and it's a big rectangle with a couple posts down the middle. A lot of space for not a lot of money. And it needed a facelift. It was a consignment shop before, and the
Uh-huh.
the owners like were definitely hoarding a lot of stuff. So there was
Yeah.
crap everywhere.
Yeah.
But it didn't need a lot of work. And
Hmm.
it was one of those like, because I looked at multiple different places too, like around the time I
Hmm.
was wrapping my head around, like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Um, everything I just kept comparing to here, and it's like I could see
Okay.
what it looked like in other
Yep.
places, but it wasn't the place. It's like when you're
Yep.
house shopping,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like I like this, and this, but I don't like the neighborhood. Or I like this, and this, but I don't like that. And it's like this was always the comparison place. Um, so we were like, how we had a lot of trouble like getting a loan to open the business, a small business,
Hmm.
which is super uncomfortable to talk about. But
Yeah.
it's important because like it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Um, and we ended up, Dave came upstairs one night. I was like just falling asleep, and he was like, sign the lease. And I was like, we don't have a loan. And he was like, sign the lease. And I was like, well, what are we going to do for money? He was like, I don't know. Someone will give us money. Sign the lease.
Someone look at
Like,
it. Yeah.
and like, it's what I wanted to do, but I'm
Right.
the emotional, like, we're going to
Yeah.
make this work. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we got this. And he's the rational brain.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yep,
I was
yep.
literally waiting on his, like, let's
Go
do
ahead. Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Not that I needed his permission, but we have a
No.
relationship where
Yeah.
we make decisions together, especially big
As
decisions
you
that
should.
impact our kids, our whole family.
Right. Yeah.
So I was like, when he was like, sign the lease, I literally like, I grabbed my phone, opened it, like, all
You're
right,
like,
here we
I
go.
need signing right now.
Done.
That's so awesome, though.
Yeah, so we did. And like, it took us a bit to like sort out the details of
Yeah.
like where the money was coming from, who was going to do our
Yeah.
construction, like what was going to happen. Luckily, I mean, I love my dad, God bless him. He just had a hip replacement. Um, he was not moving and grooving so good, but he helped me with the little construction that needed to be done. He was a contractor, so that's his
Yeah.
background. He has all the tools, everything like that.
Nice. Yeah.
So he helped with that, and we did a majority of the, physical labor and stuff, but we got it done. Dave's whole family, his my mother and father-in-law and two of my brother-in-laws came out. I had pneumonia and
Oh gosh.
they painted this whole front,
Oh
and
well.
I did the whole back area by
Yeah.
myself. And we just like little by little, it was a long process. It probably took us about it was supposed to be 14 weeks. It probably took us closer to 20 weeks to like
Uh-huh.
get the doors open. We got
Yep.
hung up on inspections,
Mm-hmm.
fire inspections. Holy moly,
Yep.
it was a
Yeah,
business.
those are hard. Yeah.
And I'll say like this is another topic for entrepreneurs, but like if you're having a brick and mortar, like my God, when you hear, which you wouldn't think you would hear about it, but when you hear about like other brick and mortars that open without a business license, oh my God, it just makes me cringe. I'm like, are
You're
you
like,
serious? You're
oh,
running a whole ass business and you don't have your
yeah,
business license
yeah,
and you are being, you know, delayed because you're trying to take all the right steps and do all the right things. And you're just like, I'm gonna lose my mind.
yes,
I can't believe this is happening.
yes,
But it does. And then,
yeah.
here we are.
Yeah,
But it's worth it because then at least you don't have to worry about anything.
right.
Everything's taken care of. Your
Exactly.
license is legit. Your insurance is legit. Your landlord
Mm-hmm.
can't come to you and be like, you're not this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everything's taken care of. So it's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
I personally think it's definitely worth it to do it the right way first rather than playing with fire and seeing if you can, go into the ring,
Avoid burning. Yeah.
right?
We had to get a permit in order to open here because when you can have a home business, but if clients come to your house, you have to get a permit through the town. It took me 3 fucking months just to get the paperwork together to submit the application. And then I had to like sit in front of a board and present the idea with like floor plans and
Wow.
like parking, egresses. Thank God my sister is an interior designer because she did all of that for me. I had to go to sewer and water and like
Yep.
I had to go to Cambridge, Mass and submit the paperwork like to get the deed information. Like it was wild. So I understand like I thought it was never going to happen. I was
Yeah.
like, well, this
Yeah.
is never going to.
I literally remember crying the second time we failed our fire inspection because I was like, one, it wasn't because of anything like I had control over. Like it was all,
Yeah.
and they just kept going back and forth. Well, you need to
Yeah.
do this. I don't need to do that. And it's just like, I'm like, someone
Just do it.
make money,
Yeah.
please. I'm like, see my babies? Like,
Yeah, God.
oh my God. But I was just like sobbing. And then like
Yeah.
third time the fire inspector came back, he was like, it's gonna be okay today. I got like, I'm glad you do because I don't even know what a good feeling and a bad feeling is anymore.
Yeah.
I just want to get through this freaking process and
Yeah,
like
it's the
move
longest process.
forward. Yeah, once we made it through those inspections, I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, now you can breathe. And then the all of a sudden the crushing, oh my God, I need to get clients feeling starts coming in and you're
Yep.
like, oh shit. Now it's really on me. Like it's make or break based on me at this point. Like
Yeah.
no one's getting clients for me. No one's advertising for me. No one's doing marketing for me. Like people
Nope.
aren't randomly walking through my door. Like I have to physically go out and get these people and convince them to pay me for a service. Like then you're like, well, fuck.
Yep. Very, very intimidating because like, especially like sales is not my strong suit. Like I just I I quite literally like to this day, I'm just like, thank God this space screams so loudly to the type of person that I want coming in here, the type of mom I want coming
Yeah.
in here. Because if it did not, I don't know what I would do. Because I just hate that part of doing this so much. Like you said earlier, like somebody said, like you're gonna die if you don't, commit to,
Yeah.
it's like salespeople can be in that fear mongering and like that calling people out and shit. Like, I'm just not that person. And it's not to say
Mm-hmm.
that all sales
No,
are
no.
need to be that
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
as definitely the most widely used form of sales.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
I'm just not that person. And so for me,
Yeah.
it was like, I just need to hope I can relate to these people on like a
Mm-hmm.
fundamental, like personal level and hope that they're,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the person I want to show up with every day.
Yeah. I would say I have some PTSD from sales tactics or ways we were supposed to sell things. And they had like a sales specialist come in and teach us how to sell. And I was like, this is all fucking fake. Like, it's a script you want me to use.
Yeah.
You want me to regurgitate exactly word for word. Like, I can't do that. Like, and so I think that's one of the reasons I got pushed into this is like, I'm not, here's the thing. all these big gyms are just concerned about getting people through the door inside. They don't give a shit about you after you've signed. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Like, they made their money and they're good to go. So they're constantly just like, oh, we need to get more people, more people, more people. It's like, maybe I could just take care of the people I
I
have
have.
and
Yes.
like
Yes.
they'll refer people and I'll grow naturally. And those relationships last. Like,
Yeah.
I have clients that I trained in Rhode Island in 2019 that still message me and we have great relationships. I know coaches that were that like I mentored under or whatever. They've been training the same people for like 20 years. Like, this is a this is a business that's very personal. It's
Yeah.
very intimate in the fact that like you're dealing with people's insecurities. Like, there some of these like are really hard things these people are overcoming and you get to be a part of that. I'm not going to fucking fake my way into it.
Yeah.
And then what? It's just like it's all surface level bullshit and I was
Yeah.
just like so against it. And now it's like I bring them in, like I show them the space. This is my training style. Like, if we vibe, cool. If not, like I'm sure there's someone out there that will work for you, but I refuse to become that person because the whole time I just felt like literally sick to my stomach, like
Yeah.
actually having to go through these like lines and scripts that we had to memorize.
Right. Right. Yeah, 100%. I think like I just made a list the other day, like going back through members and looking at like how long they've been with me, like even before I opened the doors here to Mission
Yeah.
Mama. And it's like for most of my people, it's years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like retention is so important to me. And it's also important, like from the business side of things,
Right.
it's it's so helpful to be able
Yeah.
to know like month after month or up until this point in the year,
Yeah.
my income will be X, you know, Y,
Mm-hmm.
Z, whatever. Um, and in terms of like continuity of service and care, and positivity of experience, I think the the retention speaks volumes versus
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have 20 members who have been with me for 5 years and will be with me for the next 50 than 50 members who are brand new and are leaving in 2 weeks.
Right.
Because once they're
Right.
out the door, I'm fucked.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
like that's why relationships, in my opinion, are so incredibly important in entrepreneurship, and especially when you're coaching,
Yeah.
to really like nurture those relationships and have a strong bond because that's your reputation and
Right.
that's their experience. And those two things, like, there is no better compliment for me than when I read a review. And not only do they say, like, oh, Mission Mama is great because of X, Y, or Z, but they specifically point out, and Lexie, the owner, is incredible. She's so
Yeah.
kind, this, that, the other thing. That's not to like stroke my ego or anything, but like, you are the face, you are the person they are showing up and like interacting with every single day. And if
Right.
we are not enjoying the experience of being around you, it's going to be really hard to make that and keep that a positive experience, keep that person in your business.
Yeah. I think to like piggyback onto that, when all your I understand when you are starting out, you have literally no money. You're broke. Okay. And we're probably still broke, let's be honest. But if you are looking at people as a dollar sign, they're gonna fucking know. Like, if you're just trying to get the next buck, they're gonna know. You have to genuinely actually give a shit about these people and their progress. And that's what comes through. Like, especially in the beginning, you're doing a lot of stuff for free. Okay.
Yeah.
You're like going out and your time is like hanging up flyers and talking to the community and reaching out to other business owners. and just like getting your face out there, and every interaction you have like builds on itself. Because if you're mean to one person, like that can spread so quickly. So you genuinely, I feel personally, have to be a decent human being for it to work. Like I think long term, if you're skeezy and all you care about is the money, and yes, I understand you need money to run your business, but if that's your only priority, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, 100%. I think another thing that's worth mentioning here is like um choosing a niche, like knowing what client or what type of client you want to work with. So both of us, I believe, went from working with like men and women, kids, teens, adults,
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
to being like much more specific in who we're looking
Yeah.
to work with. Um, on the one hand, that's a very, very positive thing because we get to be very selective of like who fits our vibe and who we have good energy with and like who we feel like we can actually help, right? Because like that's
Yeah.
the first thing is you bring somebody in just because it's a price tag, just because
Right.
it's more money, but you can't help them or you don't like their goals or
Yeah. Yeah.
you have to convince them to get on board with your coaching style. Like
Right.
it's a bad fit.
Right. Right.
Um, so when you find somebody that's really aligned, it's like, oh, yes, this is going to
Yeah.
be easy breezy. Like, here we go.
Yeah. All right.
But that transition was hard for me. So like, I'll share a little bit and then I'd love to hear from you, but like it's so strange because like, I was like, I want to work with women. I want to work with moms. And then you realize that I realized that I just cut out 50% of the population
Yeah.
plus another however many percent
49%.
population that's not a mom,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
49%. Stay in your
And
percentage,
it's
man.
like, then you meet these people and you're like, well, I could help you. Like, I could do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I could do that. Do you want to do that? You know
You
what I mean?
could.
So it's like coming to peace with all the people you're choosing to say, I'm not the
No.
coach for you.
Yeah.
You're not the client for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like being cool with that. Like
Yeah.
letting them go to the person that is right for them and just really staying dialed into your niche, your people, and helping them and giving them like everything you've got, like your best
Yeah.
every single time you see them. But that was like a really hard thing for me to like let that go and not just want to like, especially like you said, because you have no one, you have no one. So when
Nobody.
the sixth guy to walk down the street that's like, is this a gym? Oh, is this
You're
a
like,
gym? And
yes,
you're like,
come in.
it's like, that's not pink, that's fun. It's like, oh, it stings a little. It's
It
hard.
does. It
You're
does.
like, wow, I just watched that potential income
Yeah, there goes $300.
right out the
Bye.
door, right out the freaking door.
Yeah. And even within your own niche, it's still like it's just not a good fit. And like it sucks. And you're like, especially because you're so strapped for cash, you're like, did I just let this huge opportunity go? Or is it a blessing in disguise? And I learned over time that just being true to yourself is the only thing you can do in those situations. And if
Yep,
you have any like ick, gut, any kind of way about the feeling, trust it. Because
100%.
in
Yep,
the long run, or if you're trying too hard to make it fit, it's not right. And like
awesome. Yeah.
I've let probably a lot of opportunities go. Like I was offered positions as a strength and conditioning coach, doing things and coaching kids, and I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's so funny. That's who I thought, like, because I started resistance training when I was like 11 or 12. So like
Yeah.
originally I was like, I want to work with kids. And then I was like, no, I want to work with athletes. And then it's like, no, I want to work with moms. And like I
Yeah.
this would be an interesting topic too. Like, how many people questioned you when you were like, I'm opening a gym, like I'm converting my garage. I don't know if you had that experience, but like, I remember like two things. So like one, it was so, this is probably like a whole other topic, but it was so hard to have people understand and like, I can't even say buy into because I still don't think a lot of the people around me have bought into Mission Mama,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and all that we are population wise, not just family wise, but like especially the people close around me. Um, because they're like, I'm sorry, you're working with moms. Like, like you went from working with athletes to working with moms, and like it's so invalidating as a mom. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, I lived this experience and saw why it was needed, which is what
Yeah.
motivated me to expand my knowledge here and open a gym for this to be that
Mm-hmm.
person that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, two, this is just more of the mentality and the avoidance that's further pushing moms into having to struggle postpartum or having to struggle during pregnancy because there's not enough
Yeah.
resources, because there's not enough belief that like this is a healing journey. This is a
Right.
exerting physical experience. This is something that causes lots of change anatomically, physiologically, biologically, and hormonally to the body. So there's that whole piece. And then like there's also people that were like, you're opening a gym? Like,
What
you're
what does
gonna
that even mean?
you're gonna open a gym? Like,
Yeah.
are you serious? Like you're gonna do this? Like, why not just go work at a gym?
Yeah, yeah.
And people
Yeah.
can't understand that. Like, why would you want to take so much on?
Mm-hmm.
Just go work at a gym. They're gonna give you
Yeah.
clients, they're gonna give you this, but it's like I was looking at all the things that they weren't gonna give me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like that wasn't okay for me.
Right. Right. I think statistically too, gyms uh are not a good return on investment. That's what they say. And I'm like, well, yeah, I can see why. Their business models are literally based on the fact that their members don't show up, right? Like Planet Fitness makes tons of money on the fact that you don't go to the gym. And it's like, but I want you to go to the gym. Like the whole point is for you to go.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think even still sometimes I'm like, yeah, I have a gym. People are like, oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm
How's
like,
that? How's that? Have you ever gotten like, how's that going for you? I'm
minute
like, depends on the day, but
by minute, honestly.
I'm also a hell of a lot happier than I was a couple years ago. So really good mentally.
Yeah, I think
A
it comes
hell of a
down
lot
to
better.
like when you think about working 40 hours a week, and by the way, entrepreneurs, you work more than that. Um, when it comes down to like how you spend your time, there was a point where I could work for this person and put in the same amount of dedication and time and money into their business and not getting anything out of it because their business. Like there's only so
Yeah.
far I could go.
Yeah.
And it was like it never returned to me. Like I always made the same amount no matter how hard I worked, how many clients, well, if I brought clients in, yada yada yada. It was like, but it's not mine.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I don't own any of that. I'm doing the work for someone else to be successful.
It takes time, but the possibilities are unlimited. The only constraints
Right.
you have in entrepreneurship are the ones that you put on yourself. And like, we're not even as
Mm-hmm.
big as we're going to be at this
Oh
point
yeah.
that we're talking about this,
Yeah.
and like, and some people might be like, okay, cocky bitch, but like, no, no, if I limit my beliefs or my capabilities because I don't believe strongly enough that this is going to grow into what I know
Right.
it can,
Yeah.
I failed already. And like, don't
And
get me
you're
wrong,
right.
as an entrepreneur, I definitely have those days. I'm like, I
Oh, for sure.
just close doors, back it in, move on, right?
What
Like,
is the point
you're like, shit,
anyway?
where are we getting this from this month? What's going on? And
Yeah.
like those days are gonna exist for sure.
Hmm.
It's like stress is stress.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I know that the only limits are the ones that I place on myself. My only
Right.
limiting beliefs, the only ones that matter are my own.
Hmm.
Not that person's insecurities or that family member's worries about us or anything
Right.
like that. Like some days are easier than others. Some months are better than others. Some years are better
Hmm.
than others. But like the possibilities are endless. If I
Yeah.
stay consistent, if I keep growing personally and professionally, the business will grow. We will grow.
Yeah.
We'll achieve success. And I know that. Um, and I think about the fact all the time, like, especially if I have a month where I'm like, damn, this was a down month, or like, I didn't hit my goal for this month, or we lost, if I've lost members or anything like that. It's the thought process of all the things that I have now that I wouldn't have if I had an open mission mama. So like
Hmm.
literally my son.
Yeah.
Like I would not have Nathan if I was still working in college athletics. As much as we
Hmm.
wanted to have another kid and we were like trying to have another kid, I think about it now and I'm like, how would we have paid for daycare for two children on the salary?
Right. Right. Right.
And then there's no potential for additional income month to month. It's like you're locked into
Correct.
salary, done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get a
I think that was,
part-time job, you know what I mean? Like work,
yeah.
Dave work overtime. Like I don't know, what are the
Yeah.
options?
Yeah.
And it's like there would be no opportunity to help ourselves out of situations we don't want to be in had we stayed in the situation we were in.
Right. Right. I think that was like one of the bigger, when you go from job to job, like trying to get a strength and conditioning, right? It's basically the same job over and over and over again, right? We're doing the same things. But like when someone's like, "Oh yeah, I can give you $20 an hour," it's like, motherfucker, I could go to Target and get paid $17 an hour and I don't even have to think. Like there's no, I just stock the shelf.
No
Like
degree,
no
nothing. Didn't
degree,
study for
nothing, just
this.
walk through the door. Like, and I was so sick of people telling me I wasn't good enough. Like it was just like over and over and over again, like you're not worth this. You just, and like that's, I get, again, I get the entry level, I get not knowing, I get all those things, but at that point I had already years of experience and I was like, all right, well, if y'all don't believe in me, I'll just go find people that do. And I think on those really, really hard days, and I've had some hard days, a couple of days, it's the clients that make it all worth it. Like I come in here and I may be feeling like shit, but they're just like, I don't know, they're just pushing and like they're just trying in ways that like they've never tried or pushed themselves before, and like their energy, and I just feel so much better after a
Yeah.
coaching session. I don't think I've ever left coaching them and been like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's always
No.
like before when I'm like, I don't want to go out there. And then I coach them and I'm like, nah, that was great.
I feel like before I opened Mission Mama, before I became an entrepreneur, I had so many days where I'm like, oh, I want to go to work today.
Yeah.
I do not want to go to work today. Like, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to coach. I don't want to see my athletes. I don't want to do the thing. I just don't want to be here today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the last time I had one of those days. Like, I just don't. And that's like literally the truth. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I have days that I'm freaking tired or my kids woke me up and I'm like, I just want to stay in bed?
Yes.
Yes, but it's not, I don't want to go do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
That is, that can turn my whole day around.
Yeah.
That one class, that one small
One
group,
client.
that
Yeah.
one session. And like, for me too, with working with moms, like we're all kind of going through a lot of the same things. And
Yeah.
that can be really validating for me
Right.
too when I'm having like a particularly tough day with one of my
Mm-hmm.
kids, or they're not listening, or they threw a tantrum or this or that. And like to be able to openly share that because they want to hear it too. Like they're
Right.
benefiting from that too. They want you to
Right.
be a real person with them as well. Like you said earlier, they're being vulnerable with us. We've got to be
Right.
vulnerable with them too. We got to let them into the fold of our life as well, which can also be uncomfortable. But like that helps me. Like that
Yeah.
helps me have a better day. And like,
Yeah,
I'm super thankful for that experience
right. And
because
it's
it's a hell of a
building
lot
those.
different than I've ever had before.
Yeah, right. And it's building those relationships. Like clients have told me things that I'm not sure they told a lot of people. And it's
Yeah.
like they trust me enough to tell me these things, but also like I've told them things, and it's like it's this relationship we're building together, but in the end, like yeah, we're picking shit up and we're putting it down, but so much bigger than that. Like, and that's one of the things that I stress about like my business is we're building confidence and empowering women inside and outside the gym. Because when you are feeling capable inside the gym, like when you leave this garage door, um, you you feel good about yourself. Like
Yeah.
that, I want you to feel better about yourself regardless of if you're happy with your body in its current state or stress or whatever. It's this little chunk of time where you just get to focus on picking shit up and putting shit down, and like we get to have a good time. And I think it's bigger, and that's why I think these businesses will be successful, because it's not just the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I fully agree. That's why I put so much effort into the community building pieces of Mission Mama is like, I know that like the more deeply invested each of my members is in the community, the better the experience they're getting, the more likely they want to stay a part of this community, the better relationship they have with me and the people around them. Because, like,
Mm-hmm.
when you're showing up, unless you're a one-on-one client that like you're booking your own time and you are not around anybody else, like you're seeing a lot of these other people during your
Yeah,
training times. Like
right.
you kind of gotta like them.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Otherwise, it's
pick a
gonna be
different
kind of
time block.
annoying to show up, you know?
Yeah,
And so not just liking them, but like having things to talk about and relate to and
right.
everything like that
Yeah.
is really, really important to like your consistency, your success, your experience, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Uh
like on a psychological level too. Like this is like now we're getting into like psychology and why people do the things they do, why community, especially as human beings, we're social beings.
yeah,
We're meant to socialize and be around others. So like if it's at the gym, working on being that 1% better together, like that's awesome. That's more likely you're not gonna quit. That's more
yeah.
likely you're gonna follow through. And like my ladies will be like, I literally didn't want to come today, but I knew everyone else was showing up.
Going on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. What are some things that you do, if anything, like outside of the fitness and group fitness stuff that you do? Like, what are some other things that you offer within the She Wolf community to your members and clients?
So all of the members and clients, like if we're talking about when you sign on as a package, you'll get like monthly check-ins and goal meetings. So you get to meet with me individually about for 15 minutes. We do pictures, we do measurements, we talk about your goals and specifically like how you can maybe achieve those or different things. I try to do pack meets once a month where we just hang out and do an activity. We did wreath building for Christmas. I did a nutrition lecture for them, basic nutrition, because nobody reads anything, so they had to listen to me yap. And then this next month is our 1 year anniversary, so we're having a barbecue.
Awesome.
I try to do free workouts once a month, but they're kind of hard to schedule during the summer. But that allows members to come meet new people can meet the members. Sometimes I'll make my members kind of lead a little bit, which I
Yeah.
think they enjoy because it gives them a new perspective where like, oh, look how far I've come. Like now I'm able to like kind of be an assistant coach actually and like
Yeah.
help, and um they really have fun. So yeah, we do stuff like that.
Awesome. Yeah, we do like the monthly mom meetups too. Like I try to do something every month, which June has been slacking. We've
Yes,
had so
same.
much going on
The month is gone.
in this past month. Yeah, it's literally gone. It came and went, came in hot
Yeah.
and went out hot, literally. But the thing that is also nice about that is like we have the book club. So like one of my members works at the West Warwick Library. So like
Oh,
she
nice.
gets everything through the library. And it's so funny because like I was not a reader. Like no, I was totally the kid, person, adult, whatever that like would have summer reading and like waited until the week before.
Yeah.
We just cliff notes this. Like that is not a hobby of
Yeah.
mine. So we were out for like a Galentine's date and like a couple of the moms were sitting at the opposite end of the table like talking about this book they were reading, which hell yeah, fourth wing. But they were like talking about this book and my member just looks down the table and she was like, Lexie, we need a book club. And I was like, girl, you're barking at the wrong tree here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then we did it and like it's been such a good thing for me. Like
Hmm.
that's my outlet now. Like I've read
Yeah.
over 100 books since
Nice.
2024 and like it is so helpful for me and like now me and my best friend like do buddy reads and everything. It's like an escape. I'm like, yeah, I would
Yeah.
love to live in this fantasy land with fairies and dragons and witches. Like, can we
Yeah,
go?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Seriously.
But we've also made that monthly meetup, that book club meeting. We do a potluck. We
Oh,
pick
nice.
a type of food for every month, and
Yeah.
everybody gets something. So it's great for the people who are like, yeah, I'm stopping at the gas station on the way there to get something. And it's great for the people who are like, oh, I from scratch made this whole dish for you guys, or like, so we're
Somewhere in the middle.
definitely
Yeah.
are inclusive for everybody. And we come, we have a great time. We talk about the book, we have good food, and then we just chit chat until we're like, okay, I guess we should go home to the rest of our families, right?
Yeah.
Um, but outside of book club, we try to do like a monthly get together. I've done like community walks, stuff like that. I love teaching a good workshop,
Oh,
webinar,
I love a
getting in
workshop.
front of
Yeah.
like just like flexing that knowledge and like really diving into the science. I love being a teacher. I think that's obviously why I coach.
Hmm.
It feels good to share that knowledge. It feels good to share it in a way that like makes sense for, the people we're
Yeah.
stuff like that. Um, and yeah, so it's a lot of fun to like have the community building. So I guess like another question that I have for you is like, aside from what you currently offer, do you have things in mind that like you want to bring into She Wolf, like more?
Oh my God, so many. So I would really like to do more education outside of like coming in and like I did a barbell series where we learned the three lifts and stuff like that. But yeah, I would love to just offer more educational like seminars where people can come in and get education from professionals, whether that's a registered dietitian or therapist or just someone with more knowledge than me. I love teaching too, so like I don't mind like teaching some of those aspects. Um, and like once we have a facility, I will probably implement those a lot more. I just don't have the space to do it
Yeah.
currently. But yeah, I would love to do just more educational stuff because I feel like that's the biggest piece is like I find myself repeating the same thing over and over and over again. It's like nobody learned this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree, like, and not just on like the Mission Mama level, but like I want to speak at conferences, like I want to go bigger, bolder, um,
Oh my
and
God,
get
you
out
totally should.
and
Because
like,
who's doing this? I mean, there is this one girl I know who's doing it online. She has like a whole certification program. Like, I don't know, I don't remember her name, but she works with mom athletes.
yep. Is
And
it
she
Brianna
like has her
Battles?
yes, yes, and she has
Yes.
like her that whole thing. Like, you could totally bring this piece to conferences. Like that'd be so interesting because first of all, they don't have no female speakers.
Yeah.
Why are they all men?
Yeah.
White men, white men, no diversity.
Yeah, I would love to
NSCA.
explain something.
Yeah, let me woman explain some
Something.
things.
But yeah,
You've
I want to get to
erectile
the
dysfunctioned enough.
conferences. I want to get out in front of like the world of strength and conditioning, the world of coaches, like more and like spread what I've learned and like the transition between like one area to the next, or like kind of finding your place. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that's definitely like a goal for me within the next year, 2 years. We'll see. I don't know. I feel like I keep pushing it off because I don't know, I get nervous, I get scared, but like obviously I know I can do it. I just have to like go for the opportunities and stuff. But like workshops, stuff like that, teaching how to lift, teaching how to prep for like pregnancy, childbirth, things like that through exercise and movement. Those are all things that are like in my brain for future launches and things like that. Um, so yeah, there's so much opportunity. There's so many like things that are exciting, and we get to decide. Like we get to
Right.
decide what fits. Like there might be something that pops into my brain and I'm like, oh, that's cool, but not for me to teach.
Not for
That would be
me.
cool for
It
somebody
would be
else to
cool,
do
but
sometime,
yeah.
right? So you get to choose what aligns with you and what does not. So that's pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
I would definitely love to do more of these, like, sprinkling in the fold of like entrepreneurship and like opening this space and um for more people who are looking to either grow professionally or transition professionally. For this one specifically, where we're talking about like how we got started and like how we've just kind of like built the foundation of our business.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments that you felt like you wanted to touch on today?
Um, I think if you have had this idea in your head and it just won't go away, you need to do something with it. It's not just there for no reason. Like I've had this vision. I literally could draw you a picture of what I would like my gym to look like. I've seen it in my head for so long. And like if you have that and like you just have this vision, do whatever it takes to push that and don't let people discourage you because it's there for a reason. I'm Jewish, and we believe that everyone like has this mission on earth, like we're here for a purpose. And like I don't think we have these ideas for no reason. Like it has to do with something, why we're here, what purpose we have. And if that's because we touch one person's life and make it better, that's what it is, And like maybe we don't know what that is, but these ideas aren't in your head for no reason. They're there for you to do them.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. My business coach talks about like soul purpose. Like, what is your
Yeah.
soul's purpose on this planet? What does that look like? What does it feel like? How do you touch it? How do you become one with it?
Right.
Like,
Right.
and like it's there's so much depth that goes into these decisions. Like it's so much more. Like obviously you just gave a religious example, but like until I opened my business, I didn't realize how like energetically and emotionally charged entrepreneurship was or could
Mm-hmm.
be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like I feel like I know myself so much better
Oh,
now
100%.
than I
Yeah.
did when I was working in any other space.
100%.
And I feel like you're like forced to do that in a way because you really have to like dial in on like who I am, who I'm helping, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, why this matters, like what the big
Right.
picture is, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I spent so much time with so many of those questions and just like really like deep diving into that. It's like unavoidable.
Yeah.
So like I agree. If you've got this nagging thought, but also like the other side of that I think plays really strongly for me is like when things don't feel right, don't try to force them to feel right.
Yes.
Somebody said to me, and it's funny, it's one of my coaches from when I was training as a kid. I reached out to him. He owns a gym in Massachusetts now. And I reached out to him when I was starting to like teeter. Do I want to leave athletics? Do I want to open my own gym? Like, what does this look like? So on and so forth. And he had a similar, he like started in private sector, was in pro sports, then went into college sports, then went back to private sector as a business owner. And he said to me, he was like, so I was still working athletics, college athletics at the time. And he said, if you're already questioning getting out the door, you're out the door.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
no going back. There,
Yeah.
nothing could change or happen or
Mm-hmm.
shift to pull your desire, motivation, whatever,
Yep.
into that fold. If
Mm-hmm.
you're thinking about being out, you're out. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, because I wasn't ready to make that decision.
Yeah.
That's okay. I don't think you need to force it.
Right.
But when that feeling comes into your consciousness, I think it's really important to spend some time with like, why is this showing up now? What has changed
Yeah.
me? Because like we are human beings. We are constantly evolving and changing. We're not
Yeah.
meant to be the same exact person throughout our entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
There's growth there, there's maturation.
Right.
And so yeah, I think that would be like my biggest thing is if something doesn't feel right, be curious about it. Go
Yeah.
explore that and see what that looks like.
Yeah. I think another good thing to think about is like, does it light your soul on fire? Like, are you excited about it? Like, when you think about it, are you like, oh my God, there's so many things I could do? Like, are you energized? Are you up in the middle of the night thinking about it? Like, it sounds so cliche, but like, if you're like, meh, then it's not for you.
No, if you're like, oh, that would be cool, that could be fun.
That could be fun.
Again, like let somebody else take it. Let
Yeah.
them, because that's what lights somebody else's soul on fire. It doesn't have to be the thing that lights your soul on fire, but when you find it,
You'll know.
you'll know, and
Yeah.
don't let it go. Don't let other people influence you going into it or not. Like if you know, that's enough.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. But we haven't made it yet. So, I mean,
Yeah, right. Like everything we're saying
grain of
could
salt.
just listen, those intrusive thoughts need to go.
Get out of here.
Get out of
Oh
here.
my gosh. This is
Oh my
totally
God.
unrelated, but I think everyone will will like this. So this lady said that she named her anxiety Ryan. And whenever anxiety like starts popping its head in, she's like, "Get out of here, Ryan." I
That's
don't have time for you,
amazing.
Ryan. I was like, then those intrusive thoughts. Get the fuck out of here, Ryan.
That is awesome. I freaking love that. I really do.
So,
Because it is so true. And they're gonna, they're gonna be there. They're not going
yeah,
anywhere.
no,
But we can quiet them. We can turn the volume down.
yeah.
Ryan's gonna turn
Ryan.
it down a little bit. Shh. Here's your muzzle, Ryan. Uh, awesome. I feel like this is a good start to this segment. We'll
Yeah,
probably sprinkle more of these in as we go along. It's nice to take a little bit of a break from the like science heavy
yeah,
topic
yeah.
discussion to dive more into like the business side of things.
a
Um,
hundred percent.
so yeah, as always, like we always say, like if any other coaches, entrepreneurs are watching this and they feel like there's um more questions that you have to dive a little bit deeper, sort through the thoughts that are starting to pop up for you,
100%.
drop them in and we can dive deeper there. I think it's something we'll definitely keep coming back to, especially as we evolve as business owners as
Yeah,
well, because we're constantly learning the tricks of this trade.
yeah.
That
We're just out here winging it,
Yeah,
you
we're just
know.
winging it.
Yeah,
I show up
just
every day and
swinging
I'm
for the
like,
fences.
did I do good today? I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah. So like ask us so like we can tell you what didn't work because
Yeah.
we already did
Yeah, so we can be like,
it.
no, don't do that.
Not that one. Not
That
that.
wasn't a good one. I made that mistake already. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Awesome. All right, guys. So yeah, find me, follow us at Mission Mama Training, and
At Shewulf.Life.
excellent. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We will chat soon.
All right, bye.